Morning everybody, how are y'all doing today? I'm doing good now, but yesterday was excruciating to say the least, because in case you didn't see my community post, I had a kidney stone, and I've heard it's roughly equivalent to the pain level of giving birth without any medication. So all I can say is salute to all the women who have given birth out there, because dear lord. So yeah, thank you to everybody who wished me well on the community post. I'm totally fine now. I'm having a follow-up appointment on Friday just to make sure everything's good, but I should be totally fine. But anyway, you guys aren't here to hear about my health problems. You're here because DreamcastGuy said some stupid stuff and you want me to talk about it. Because apparently, according to DreamcastGuy, Xbox is bringing Call of Duty to Game Pass out of pure desperation. You know, it's not like the plan from the start was always to put Call of Duty on Game Pass to get a bunch of subscribers out of it. No, it couldn't be that. It just must be desperation. So yeah, anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into this.
What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and today we're talking about Xbox because a big new report was just released that Game Pass is making a final big gamble. They're going to put Call of Duty into Game Pass this year, and it seems like this is probably going to raise the price of the service. We're going to get a big price increase for Game Pass, but additionally, I think this is the final experiment. This is their test to see if they can actually make Game Pass profitable before they just give up on gaming altogether.
Well, he was half right about that. I do think this is Game Pass's final big shot, and if Call of Duty on Game Pass doesn't work out, then they might just ditch the idea. Because let's be real, Game Pass hasn't seen any growth in the last, 3 years. However, if this doesn't work, Microsoft is not going to ditch gaming as a whole. That is such an exaggeration. The Xbox brand will still be around. I mean, we'll see if the consoles are still around, but the Xbox brand is always going to be a thing. In the last 4 years alone, they've dumped $80 billion into this brand to buy out studios. They're not just gonna close right after. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Game Pass profitable? I'm pretty sure the issue with Game Pass isn't that it's not profitable, it's just that it hasn't been growing at all. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but last I remember checking, it's profitable.
But let's talk about that, and let's take a look at the report. Hi, I hope you're having a great day. If you could, give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already.
No.
No thanks. I'd rather pass another kidney stone than do either of those things.
Okay, so here we go. Wall Street Journal has just published a report talking about the fact that Microsoft is going to release the next Call of Duty, which is rumored to be Black Ops 6, on Game Pass, and they're going to announce it at the Xbox Showcase coming up in June. But if you actually consider this, this is a very tough sell. This is a move that I think is going to either work very well, or more likely, it's going to totally explode in Microsoft's face.
You know, I'm really interested to hear how exactly this could explode in Microsoft's face. The only way I could think that would ever happen is if they didn't raise the price of Game Pass, and then all the new Game Pass subs they would gain from this move would not be enough to offset the amount of sales they lost. That's the only way I can think of that happening, but it's pretty obvious they're going to raise the price of Game Pass again, which I think a lot of people would be okay with if it meant we get Call of Duty day and date. And I really don't understand why he's calling it a tough sell. It's Call of Duty day and date on Game Pass. Again, I think most people would be fine with another $3 price increase to Game Pass if it meant day and date COD. But who knows, maybe he's completely right. Maybe this is going to be an absolute disaster. Only time will tell.
And that upfront sales, that just generates so much income, followed by microtransactions and skins and season passes and map packs. So the fact that they're trying to test removing that upfront pay, the fact that they're going to take something they just spent $70 billion on and put it out there essentially for free, I think this is It is a move that I think they are going to instantly regret.
But they're not putting it out there for free. Oh my god, dude. You're acting like every single COD game is about to be a war zone and it's just going to be completely free. First of all, you'll still be able to buy and own the game if you want to. But if you don't want to and you want to get it through Game Pass, guess what? You're probably going to end up having to pay like $20 a month. You know, there's a lot of great value there, but it's not free. And again, they will regret it if the amount of sales they lose on Call of Duty Duty outweighs the amount of Game Pass subs they get. But given how many people would probably sub to Game Pass just for COD, along with that price increase, I don't see that happening. I've said this a bunch before. We can criticize these executives. We can say, oh, this is such a stupid move. They have no idea what they're doing. But at the end of the day, you have to remember they're the ones on top of a billion-dollar corporation. They're clearly doing something right.
Now, a lot of people are just sort of laughing at this because it is bizarre that this is an announcement that seems almost a bit too late. Like, here's Paul Tassi, writer for Forbes, saying this. It was inevitable they do this. The question is whether it would happen this year or the next. They're way too down the rabbit hole, committed to Game Pass at this point to start making exceptions for first-party games, and this is one of the only remaining places that can drive new subs.
Yeah, and I guarantee one of the biggest reasons they bought out Activision is so they could put COD on Game Pass. Like, again, it's obvious this was always the plan. And I don't see how this is too late of an announcement. Well, first of all, Microsoft hasn't even really made an announcement themselves. But this is the first COD game that's going to be releasing under their ownership. Yes, I guess Modern Warfare 3 technically, but they weren't there for that game's development cycle, so that doesn't really count. Although I do agree with Mr. Tassi on this. This is probably the last big thing they could do to drive Game Pass subs. Like, if Call of Duty being on Game Pass does not push the subscriptions, at that point it's just time to close Game Pass down and be done with it. If COD cannot help Game Pass grow, then it's actually just hopeless. However, they may shut Game Pass down, but that doesn't mean they'll have to shut the whole company down, which is what DreamcastGuy seems to think.
People are, of course, all the replies are like, okay, Game Pass is about to be $25 a month. So, yeah. This is going to be a two-pronged dumpster fire because they're definitely going to increase the price of Game Pass. I don't think this is deniable at all. But additionally, I think that internally, companies have sales metrics. They go, okay, we spent $300 million on advertising. We spent $200 million on development. So it needs to sell at least 10 million copies to break even. So this thing is going to bomb. I'm going to call it right now. You can clip it. I'm filming this at 10 a.m. on May 17th. This is about to be the lowest selling Call of Duty of all time.
Now, obviously, I can't predict the future. I have no idea if that actually is going to be true or not, but I will say it is certainly possible. Maybe not the lowest selling COD of all time, but sales are going to take a massive hit, no doubt about it. But again, like I said, it's all about trying to balance out the loss of sales with the Game Pass subs. And obviously, yes, Game Pass is going to get a price increase. If you don't think it is, you're just in denial. Then again, I would like to be proven wrong, but I doubt that's going to happen. And dude, do you really think that they haven't accounted for the fact that putting COD on Game Pass is going to lower the sales? They themselves came out, what was it, last year, 2 years ago, and said Game Pass cannibalizes sales. So obviously, if Black Ops 6 launches on Game Pass day and date, they're going to lower their sales expectations because obviously the sales are going to drop. But at the end of the day, if the extra Game Pass subs help them turn a profit on the game, that's all that matters. I've said this for a while now, but if Microsoft doesn't care about how well their game sells, then why should you?
Now it's going to bump up some Game Pass numbers, which is kind of the point in a way. Game Pass is in a weird spot because I do think that people are beginning to miss the olden days. People are beginning to miss the Xbox 360 era or early PlayStation 4, where there was back-to-back good releases, but also there was always something to play. There was always something you could pick up for $50 or $60 or indie games for $20. And now, not only is everything $70, but a lot of stuff breaks broken, unfinished, with season passes, filled with DLC on day one.
Wait, I'm so confused. So do indie games just not exist anymore? And do $40 and $50 games not exist anymore? Dude, have you ever heard of Helldivers 2? Like, yeah, a lot of AAA games have gone to crap. You know, they're $70, there's battle passes, whatever. But it's not like indies and AA's are completely dead or anything. I mean, you're acting like every indie game releases for $70 now it is completely broken. That's not the case. We have seen over the last, like, year or two, indies and AA's have quite honestly been carrying gaming, and I don't say that lightly. And also, what does this have to do with Game Pass and it being in a weird position? There's tons of indie AA and AAA games on Game Pass, all of which you can download at any point and try out. Am I the only one who's extremely confused right now? Then again, I guess a lot of the great indie games that have released recently have pretty much only been on PC. That's not to say all of them have been, but a lot of them certainly have. So, I don't know. Honestly, DreamcastGuy, it sounds like PC might be the place for you if you want more of those $20 or $10 indie games.
And people are starting to go, okay, Well, what is this going to do in the long run? Is Game Pass good for gaming or bad for gaming? Now, here's a good point. Currently, Game Pass is just a standard 2-tier system, and we don't know what tier of Game Pass this is going to be. As it currently exists, there's the core, which is pretty much just multiplayer, and then $17 a month for Game Pass Ultimate, which is where you get access to typical Game Pass. So that's basically, this is how you get the hundreds and hundreds of games, plus new games on day one.
I mean, it seems pretty obvious to me that that's where Call of Duty is going to end up. Who knows, maybe if they do put the older CODs on Game Pass, those will go onto the lower tier subscription. But I think it's pretty clear that they're going to raise the price of Game Pass Ultimate to like $20 a month and then put COD on there. And also, is Game Pass good or bad for gaming? It's good.
Here's the thing. A lot of people are talking about this because as good as this will be in the short term, I think it's going to lead to a lot of bad things all at once. This is truly going to go down in the record books of Xbox as a catastrophe in the long run. Like, maybe I'm being hyperbolic or overly bleak, but...
Yeah, you think you're being a bit hyperbolic? Bro really just said putting COD on Game Pass is gonna be a catastrophe. Unless Game Pass goes up to like $30 a month or something like that, I don't see that being the case. And I'm really interested to hear how he thinks it's gonna be a quote-unquote catastrophe. The only thing I can think of besides the potential, like, they increase the price too much, which I doubt they will, is that maybe they wouldn't get, like, many new subs out of this. In which case, I guess, yeah, that would be a catastrophe for Game Pass. But then at that point, you probably just close it down and move on. It's certainly not going to be the end of Xbox if COD on Game Pass doesn't work out. Like you said yourself earlier, COD generates billions of dollars. I'm sure they'll be just fine. Which, by the way, fun fact, I believe Call of Duty generates over $1 million a day from microtransactions alone. Kind of wild to think about.
I mean, Xbox has made frequent sloppy mistakes. The whole thing with the Xbox One, telling people not to buy the Xbox One, forcing the Kinect, and trying to make stuff like originally when the Xbox One was about to come out, it did not have used games. I guess people kind of forget that today. And ever since then, they've kind of been trying to keep up.
Bro, are you kidding me right now? Microsoft has made frequent sloppy mistakes and then brings up stuff from 11 years ago. You cannot make this up. You could have brought up Redfall, you could have brought up Forza Motorsport. Hell, you even could have brought up that time a couple years ago when they tried to double the price of Xbox Live Gold. But no, the only thing you brought up was stuff that happened 11 years ago under completely different management. I think it's very safe to say.
Do it! You had it all and you blew it!
Microsoft is now so far behind on console sales. I did a video yesterday that they're actually down 5-1. For every one Xbox that sells, 5 PS5 sells, which is insane. And I think Game Pass, they are relying everything on this. If Microsoft can't figure out how to make Game Pass actually profitable, I think we're going to see the entire bubble pop.
I mean, I just looked it up, and in January of this year, Phil Spencer came out again and confirmed that Game Pass is profitable, which obviously, you can't just take everything they say at face value. But if Game Pass was truly not profitable this whole time, you would think they would have shut it down a while ago. Especially since the service hasn't seen growth in 3 years, I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that it's still profitable. Like, I don't know where DreamcastGuy got this idea that it's not profitable, other than he just made it up and went with it. Because look it up for yourself. If you type in, is Xbox Game Pass profitable, the first result says that it is. And again, that's from this year. Although what he said about Xbox being down 5-1, that is absolutely true, and it's kind of crazy, honestly. And honestly, it could be one of the reasons they're already doing COD day and date in Game Pass.
They're not going to keep spending hundreds of millions of dollars buying new games, buying new studios, paying to have good developers doing good work. I mean, if it's not lucrative, these companies exist to make a profit, and Game Pass is such a weird idea where, yes, on paper, hypothetically, it could work if you get, 50 million subscribers, 100 million subscribers. Like, if enough people are paying you $10, $20 a month, it will pay off for those big projects. But if you're putting something like Call of Duty in, something that would give you instantly billions of dollars back, and just choosing not to accept that money, Man, this is a very interesting gamble.
Wait. So you said that if they're not profitable, then they're not going to keep spending money on studios, developers to keep making games and all that. But you've also claimed in the past that not only is Game Pass not profitable, but Xbox as a whole is not profitable. So if that's the case, then why are they continuing to invest billions of dollars into the company? Your logic is not adding up here, my guy. And again, he's talking about, oh, if you put Call of Duty on there, you're risking losing billions. Yes, that is true, but again, they clearly see that there is a very good chance that the amount of Game Pass subs they gain from this move will outweigh the amount of sales they lose. I mean, let's just think about it this way. Let's say Game Pass goes up to $20 a month, and let's say they gain 10 million more subscribers from this move. That by itself, just the new people, is $200 million, plus the extra 25 million that are already subbed, plus all the sales they're still gonna get because there are still people who will buy the game for full price. Again, it's possible that this could fail, but given COD's popularity and the value of Game Pass, even if the price does go up, I can see it working.
I don't think it's going to work out, but everybody right now, this is Charlie Intel. This is like a Call of Duty news Twitter account, and they said, with Xbox including Call of Duty to Game Pass, what do you think Microsoft does? Here, let's refresh this and make sure we get the full access to this poll. So, look at this. It currently has 5,000 votes in just the last 10 minutes, and it says here they're definitely going to increase the price of Game Pass, put it only on Game Pass Ultimate, increase store bundles, no changes. Yeah, I mean, of course they're going to increase the price of Game Pass. Look at this. They're going to make it so the base level also has a higher cost, and they're going to gradual Game Pass increase over the next couple of years. Yeah, so this is one of the things I think is going to kill Game Pass the most, is I think they're going to jump it up to $20 a month here in the next 2 months. I think the price is going to go up, and I genuinely believe that before Call of Duty comes out, there's going to be a second price increase.
Sorry, dude, but I am spamming X to doubt that they're gonna do 2 price increases. I can believe they would raise it to 20 within the next couple months, but I think it's gonna stop there. At least, I hope it's gonna stop there. And I sincerely doubt that they're gonna raise the price of Core, because if that's not getting any changes, they wouldn't really be justified in raising the price at all. Then again, they did try to raise the price of Gold a couple of years ago, so, I mean, who knows, anything is possible. But PS Plus Essential is also only $10 a month, so it would be pretty foolish of them to raise it. Whatever, the point is, I don't see Core getting a price increase. And given how a 33% price increase to PS Plus didn't kill that service at all, I highly doubt a $3 price increase to justify putting Call of Duty day and date on Game Pass is gonna kill that service. And also, I'm just gonna say, because it was in the poll that he showed on screen, there is no shot they're raising store bundle prices. Most of the things in the Call of Duty store already cost like $20. And again, they make millions every single day off of that stuff. There is no shot they're gonna raise the price. And if they do, there's gonna be a riot. And want to know what riots remind me of? Kai Cenat, the popular Twitch streamer who once incited. God, I can't believe they did that. That was so out of pocket. Like, why did they mention that in the tweet? Maybe it's because more people who aren't into gaming would recognize him from that. I don't know. God, what a terrible idea.
I do think that Game Pass is going to go up to $25 a month here within the next year, which sucks, but I think it's the only way that the weirdo executive people over at Microsoft can even fathom paying back a $70 billion acquisition.
Yeah, you know, the executives at Microsoft who are in charge of the billion-dollar company, they're the weirdos. Not the quote-unquote gaming journalist on YouTube who can't even keep his facts straight. And also, I mean, eventually in the future, Game Pass will probably go up to $25 a month, but I really don't think it's gonna happen within the next year. Again, it's possible, but when you're doing a $3 increase on a subscription service that's $17, that's already like an 18% increase in the price. So again, I don't know. It could happen. It could not happen. Time will tell. Personally, I doubt we'll be seeing a $25 Game Pass for at least a while.
Now, the last tweet I wanted to look at is this one here from Jeff Grubb, because I do think this spells out the bleakness of the Xbox experiment. Putting Call of Duty on Game Pass and not launching it on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, if that doesn't move the needle on getting people to adopt the Xbox as their chosen next-gen device, then that's it. This is the final hurrah of Xbox.
No. See, this is where we need to make the distinction. This is the final hurrah of the Xbox console, not the brand as a whole. The way you're talking, and especially what you said at the beginning of the video, you're acting like the Xbox brand as a whole is going to go away if Call of Duty on Game Pass doesn't succeed. That's not going to happen. I agree. If Call of Duty on Game Pass for $20 a month or $25 a month, whatever, if that does not significantly impact Xbox sales, then at that point, I think pretty much all hope is lost for the Xbox console. But no matter what happens to the console, the brand itself will be fine and it will continue to thrive. I mean, just go to Newzoo and look up the Q4 2024 earnings for Xbox. That was the quarter in which they bought Activision, and already they were up to 3rd place for revenue in all of the gaming space, just behind Sony and Tencent. I've said it before, you can hate Xbox as much as you want. You can think they're making all the wrong decisions, but at the end of the day, they are still making a boatload of money. So clearly they gotta be doing something right.
I do think it's going to be bad for the industry when they inevitably implode and go the Sega path and go fully third party, but it is just strange to see how the purchasing of Activision Blizzard is going into the history books as the worst move they've made.
Dude, you can't actually be serious. Are you kidding me? We're what, like 8 months into the purchase and it's already the worst decision they've ever made, even though all that's happened is their revenue has skyrocketed. Like, dude, what are you actually talking about? In what way has the Activision purchase been a negative for Microsoft? Genuinely, it seems to have only been a positive thing for them. That's what I'm talking about. For Microsoft, it seems to have only been a positive thing so far. There's no way you're trying to claim it's the worst decision they've ever made, especially when earlier you listed off all that stuff that happened with the Xbone, where they were trying to like get rid of used games and all that stuff. Like, how can you honestly sit here and say this is the worst move they've ever made when almost nothing has even come of it besides their revenue increasing? In fact, I just looked it up. The Activision purchase has already increased Xbox's revenue by like 62%. And even if COD on Game Pass doesn't work out, guess what? They're still gonna own COD. They're still gonna be making millions, if not billions, off of this. But yeah, this was the worst decision they could have ever made, right, guys?
I think it's going to make them money in the short term. I think they'll recover their losses in the long term. But if you think that Xbox, as it currently exists, is going to continue, you're delusional.
Wait. So it's the worst decision they've ever made, but they're gonna make their money in the short and long term. You just said earlier, the whole point of a business is to make profit. So if Xbox continues to make their money back and extra, doesn't that mean this was a good purchase? But yeah, we're the delusional ones, right, guys? And plus, how do you know Xbox isn't gonna continue to exist like this in the future? You're saying this all under the assumption that COD on Game Pass is gonna fail and that the Xbox console is gonna go away, but we don't know if that's the case yet. You're acting like your prediction is just 100% accurate. It's not. Nobody knows what's gonna happen. But yes, we're the delusional ones, am I right? You know what? Maybe I am delusional. Maybe the pain meds from yesterday haven't worn off yet, but something tells me DreamcastGuy is just jumping the gun a little bit. But anyway, guys, with all that being said, that's gonna do it for this video. Again, thank you to everybody who wished me well yesterday. I really do appreciate it. And honestly, I'm just glad to be making this video. I actually had a lot of fun with this, and I hope you did too. Also, be sure to let me know if COD truly is going day and date to Game Pass. How much do you think they're going to increase the price? Do you think it'll be successful? You know, all that stuff. But anyway, with all that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't like it, subscribe if you want to see more. Join us every Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern for Salt streams, and I will catch you all next time.